Let's move to the offensive line. There's a couple big boys that the Seahawks might be interested in. Obviously, they've had some injuries at offensive line. Walter Jones has the knee surgery. They're not sure how he's going to come back from that. So there might be a potential to draft a future replacement for him. And just, with injuries across the board offensive line, that seems to remain a big concern. Who do you think a couple guys the Seahawks will be looking at if they want to pick somebody with that top 10 pick?
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, this year I really anticipate that this is going to be another year, just like last year, that is characterized by the offensive tackles. I mean, last year there was a record 8 offensive tackles taken in the first round. It's never happened before. I anticipate it happening again this year. I think there could be 3 or 4 or even 5 taken in the top 15 picks or so, which is, again, never happened. Andre Smith is a junior. He just won the award for the best offensive lineman in the country this year. I mean, he's 6'5", 340 pounds. I'm not so sure that he fits beautifully in what Seattle tries to do because he's not a great pass blocker, but he is absolutely dominant in the running game, so he makes a lot of sense. But I don't necessarily anticipate that he's going to be available at number 5 or 6, wherever Seattle's picking, because he is that dominant of a player. He'd be a perfect fit in the right side, but obviously they're looking for more of a left tackle.
So you think he's a top 3 guy?
I think potentially could be. Absolutely. He's absolutely a dominant player. Now, there's going to be some concern. Anytime you're 340 pounds, teams are going to be a little bit worried about his conditioning. So there's going to be some concern that way, but he is a dominant player. On the flip side, you got Mike Oler from Ole Miss, and he's a player that a lot of people may have heard of because of the fact that he's been talked about in books, and he's been a very famous player, very well known in the SEC for quite some time. A dominant pass blocker in terms of he has the pure natural tools you're looking for, but again, he's a player that, while he has been very successful, you do want to see a little bit more consistency, a little bit more toughness. It's one of the reasons I decided to come back for his senior year. He has improved. I still think that he's a top 10 pick. I still think he'd make a lot of sense for the Seahawks. But again, one of those players that I think is going to go end up in that top 10 frame. But again, there's a lot of other players that they have to consider. Evan Britton, a junior from Arizona, that a lot of people are just now starting to warm up on. He's absolutely considered a top 20 kind of player, a player that could rise up and workouts. Jason Smith from Baylor is another player I'm very high on. I think he's going to end up being a top 10, top 15 kind of player with workouts. Could move up even higher than that. And then even Eugene Monroe from Virginia. He played left tackle when last year Brandon Albert was moved inside the guard. He's a player that, while not necessarily a great left tackle fit, would fit in nicely at right tackle should the Seahawks decide that Sean Locklear is the ultimate replacement for Walter Jones on the left side.
So it sounds like you feel like if they should choose an offensive lineman with that top 10 pick, that they're going to get a pretty good player that's going to be a cornerstone lineman for them for a long period of time.
Exactly, and that's what makes this class so unique. I mean, usually if you would say that, okay, the Seahawks had the 5th pick, the 6th pick, whatever pick it is, if they got the 3rd offensive tackle, then you're thinking, okay, this isn't a very good player. That's not the case this year. And this really, if those juniors come out, and only one of the players I mentioned, actually there would be 2, Andre Smith and Evan Britton, were 2 juniors. The other 3, Jason Smith, Eugene Monroe, and Michael Oher, all are seniors. All should be on the board. At least 1 or 2 will be on the board when Seattle picks. Again, I really think it shakes up for them to be able, if they'd like to, be able to take one of those offensive tackles and help themselves out a lot immediately. That's why.